Good afternoon, Second Street families. I am Sam Sams, principal of Second Street School, and I am here to bring you some more information about what our Orange Plan looks like, which starts Monday, September 28th. I have a PowerPoint ready for you to go through what instruction looks like, as well as some new COVID guidelines. So I hope this information is very helpful. And of course, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to reach out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you, and we will get started. Right, so here is our presentation for today, the COVID colors. If you haven't seen this before, this was put out by our state, by the governor and Dr. Stack, to help us figure out the best way to move forward with schools in Kentucky. And every week, our counties are updated based on how many COVID cases per 100,000 people. And so currently, Franklin County is orange, and we are at our average rate is 12 people. We have to actually be below 10 to be yellow. We were in yellow a few days ago. We're back to orange, but we're on the very low end of orange. So how we are making these decisions as a district is based off of this system, but it is a recommendation, and we don't always operate in what color our county is. So I want you to keep that in mind. So you're probably wondering, how in the world do we keep up with that? So we have created an extra tool just for you. So we will be using the information provided by the state to make our own decisions as a district, which leads us to our next slide, which is our calendar. So you can see here that we have different colors, and we have been operating in red, which is our 100% virtual for all students since August 26th. Starting Monday, right here, where you can see the purple arrows pointing to on September 28th, we begin to go into orange, which is our small group plan. Then over here, you can see that we remain in orange up until October 9th. So for the next 2 weeks, we will be operating in orange. Now, we will know what we are doing come October 12th on October 2nd. So these purple boxes will be decision days. The data will roll in and update on the map on the Thursday before, and Friday we will communicate with you to let you know what our plan is. So on October 2nd, we will make a decision based on our state results, and we will let you know what is happening October 12th through the 23rd on October 2nd. So you have a little bit of time to know what is going on. So right now I can tell you that September 28th through October 9th, we will be in small groups in our orange phase. And then on October 2nd, our district will make a decision on what October 12th through the 23rd looks like. You can access this calendar at any time. It will be updated at our bit.ly that you see at the top of the screen. It is bit.ly/FIS color calendar. This is going to be the best way to keep with up-to-date information on how we will be operating with COVID. All right, so what do the colors mean for Second Street? So red, this is what we've been doing since the 26th of August, is all students have been virtual. Now, we have had small groups in the building during this time. These groups have been targeted, and we are meeting the needs of these students. So if students have been attending a small group during this time, then they will continue doing so if we ever go back into red and go about that plan. So that is not changing, but that is what red has looked like. What we're about to do is move to orange. So what does orange look like? So orange for Second Street. On Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, so this coming Monday, all students will be 100% virtual. Unless you have already been coming into the building for a specific reason on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, that doesn't change. But if you've been at home, you will remain at home Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It is what you have experienced so far. We will also bring in targeted small groups on these days, and those families have been contacted. On Wednesdays in orange, we will have in-person small groups. Our preschool is already doing a beautiful job of bringing in their groups, so they're going to continue to operate the way they have been. But on this coming Wednesday, we will have our first in-person small groups where we will bring in kindergarten through 8th grade students. We will have a 9 to 11 instruction period and a 1 to 3 instruction period. So students will not be here all day. They will either be attending the 9 a.m. session or the 1 p.m. session if they have chosen to come to small groups. Now, if they have opted out of in-person instruction and they are remaining virtual, then the teacher will be in contact with you on when that virtual session will happen. Some teachers are conducting that at 8 a.m. before the 9 a.m. session. They are also using that break in the day from 11 to 1 to meet then. So be looking out from your teacher if you are remaining 100% virtual to know what time you'll be meeting with your teacher on Wednesday. Please note that your child will only meet with their teacher during this group time. So if my time is 9 to 11, that's the only time I see my teacher. If my time is 1 to 3, that's the only time I see my teacher. If I'm virtual, whether it be 8 or during a chunk of the day, that's the only time I see my teacher on Wednesdays. So this is what next week looks like. Now, what does it look like once we hit yellow and green? So yellow and green are on the same slide because yellow is how we are phasing in to get to green. So when we hit yellow and green, everything's going to be a little bit reversed compared to orange. And what I mean by that is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday now becomes our in-person days. And anyone that has chosen to come into the building will be here kindergarten through 8th grade, also including preschool, but they will communicate in a different way when that occurs. Yellow means we will begin phasing in groups. We will start with preschool and kindergarten, and we will continue to phase in until we have preschool and 8th grade in the building. I can't give you an exact time on if that will take 2 weeks or a month, but we will communicate that timeline. Once we have 8th grade in the building, we are totally phased in, which technically pushes us into our green stage for FIS. That doesn't mean Franklin County on the map is green, but we would be operating as a district with our green plan. And more details will come once we make that decision as a district to begin to phase in. During this yellow and green time, Wednesdays then turn into the virtual day. And at that time, all students will remain 100% virtual on Wednesdays. And this is what you've experienced thus far. All right, so how did we get to this information? There was a form that went out and there was a deadline of Sunday at midnight. And with that data that has been rolling in, we have been able to make these decisions. I've received a lot of Facebook messages and phone calls and emails about what does it look like on Monday, and we couldn't make a lot of those detailed decisions until the form was completed. So each family got to make a decision for every one of their children, and they got to choose from 3 different options. So they could remain 100% virtual, which means you are opting out of in-person instruction. And you could have done that through the small group phase or all the way up into the yellow and green. You also have the opportunity to decide if your child could attend small groups during orange phase, and a lot of you have, which is what that information has led us to make that decision with what orange looks like. We also have a full in-person that once we phase in, your child would be here. So you got the option for each one of your children. This decision is locked in until after winter break unless extenuating circumstances arise or anytime you have chosen an in-person option and you wish to go virtual. The one thing that we cannot do is allow you to be virtual and then come back in person. So that is how we got this information, by the forms that you completed. Now, I also keep receiving this question, so I thought it would be nice to put it on here, is we have some parents asking, what does it look like if I chose 100% virtual, which means you have opted out of in-person instruction? So if we are red, which is what we are currently operating in up until today, your child has had full access to a teacher, and it is the current experience that you have right now. Once we phase into orange, your child will have full access to a teacher Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, your current experience. Wednesdays will be a little different, and you will only have access to your teacher during your virtual group time. Once we get to yellow and green, and you have opted out of in-person instruction, you will have access to a teacher from 8 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. You will possibly have teacher access from 3:30 to 4:30. We are looking at possible synchronous learning throughout the day with some new technology and just schedule changes. but most of it might be asynchronous learning, where the teacher is teaching the students in the classroom, and then children who have chosen the virtual option will be doing independent learning at home. So this is what it will look like if you opted out of in-person and chose the 100% virtual route. Now, what does it look like if I chose small groups and in-person? Well, red, full access to a teacher, and it's your current experience, because we are all 100% virtual right now. When we start orange on Monday, you will have full access to a teacher, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, virtually, which is your current experience. And on Wednesdays, you will have access to a teacher during an in-person instructional time. That could be 9 a.m. to 11 or 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Once we hit the yellow and green phase, school will be in session. Right now, doors will open at 8:45 a.m. Instruction will begin at 9:15 a.m. and we will dismiss at 2:30. So that is what it will look like if you have chosen for your child to attend small group or in-person learning. Again, this is what is happening on Monday. So all students will remain at home virtually on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. If you are already attending a small group that you have been attending on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, that will continue. We have also reached out to a targeted group of students that will also come in on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. You know who you are and you've been communicated with, so we are excited to see you on Monday. But for the majority of our students, you will remain virtual starting Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday when we are in our orange phase. On Wednesdays, we will bring in our small groups. You've been communicated with by your teacher if you were in the 9 to 11 in-person session or the 1 to 3 in-person session. If you remain virtual on Wednesdays, you will also be communicated with your teacher on when that is occurring. And remember that your child will only meet with their teacher on Wednesdays during that designated time. All right, let's discuss arrival and dismissal as well as lunch. So when students are arriving during our orange phase, it is crucial that the masks must be on as you approach that building. Whether you are walking or in a car, it must be on before you get out of the vehicle and before you get on school property. Kindergarten through 8th graders at this time are going to enter on the map. We will have teachers, we'll have the parking lot blocked off underneath, and teachers will be spread out to receive their students. Teachers will be ready to receive students starting at 8:45 a.m. So you are able to drop your student off at 8:45. The teacher will be there. We will be checking temperatures before a parent leaves, because if a temperature were to be there, then they would need to go home. So once the teacher receives all of their small group children, they will enter in the building and go about their 9 to 11 group. Then teachers will also be ready to receive students again at 12:45 for the 1 o'clock group. Remember, temperatures will be checked before an adult leaves the premises. And then we will provide more information on what yellow or green arrival procedures look like once we would begin that phase-in process. Arrival for our bus riders. The mask must be on as you approach the bus stop as well as you ride the bus. Please be ready for the bus to come get you at 8:30 a.m. Students must have their temperatures taken before getting on the bus. While waiting to have your temperature taken or waiting for the bus, it is important that you maintain 6 feet apart while waiting to board the bus. You will have assigned seats. The buses will be loaded from back to front, and students will be dropped off at the map to be received by their teacher at 8:45 and 12:45. Again, we will provide more information on the yellow and green process once we begin to phase in. Dismissal. If you are a car rider or a walker, it is important that your mask be on until you are in your car or off school property. K through 8 will dismiss from the car rider line, which is the playground side of the building. Teachers will be out there helping facilitate getting children in cars. Teachers will be ready to dismiss at 10:45. So you can come and be ready to pick up your child at 10:45 for the morning session and at 2:45 for the afternoon session. Once again, we will provide more instructions on what yellow and green dismissal looks like when we begin to phase in. Dismissal for bus riders. Masks must be worn on the bus. You will have assigned seats. We will load from back to front. You will be picked up at the map to go home, and you can expect your child to return home from the bus around 3:15 or 3:30 p.m. Again, more procedures will be communicated for yellow and green once we phase in. Lunch. Starting Monday, the targeted groups that will be in the building all day will receive lunch in the building. If you are at home and need lunch, it will be delivered Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and you will receive enough meals to have meals throughout the whole week, even though you're only getting delivered 3 times. Once we go to yellow and green, anybody that is in the building will be eating lunch in the building, and lunch will no longer be available for delivery. So if you have chosen 100% virtual and you have opted out of in-person instruction, you will have to then pick up your lunch on site, and more details will be communicated once we start that process. All right, we are going to now transition into COVID guidelines. You can see there's a bit.ly here as well. It is bit.ly/FIS return. And we have guidelines for families to make sure that we are safe, getting our county down to green, and helping you through this process. So what does this look like? This is the document that you will come to once you go to that bit.ly. Every one of these blue areas is a hyperlink, and we're going to briefly go through what those look like. At the bottom, you will find some communication. So 2nd Street has had this number as our tech hotline. It is now transitioning to our COVID reporting hotline. We prefer that you text. It will just be easier for us to get back to you. We cannot always answer the phone, but might be able to answer a text. So please text if at any time a child at 2nd Street or Frankfort Independent, even if they're at Frankfort High, if they have tested positive, then please text that number and let us know. You can also email us, email at thecovid@frankfort.kyschools.us. If you end up emailing a teacher or an administrator, we'll get that information, but we prefer to keep it to these channels. If you do not have somebody that has not tested positive, then you do not need to report that. But if anybody in your household has tested positive, you please let us know. Remember, you can access this document at bit.ly/FIS return. Please text us if you have anything to report, which means you have a positive case for a child that goes to 2nd Street or Frankfort High, or if you have someone in your household that doesn't come to 2nd Street or Frankfort High, but is a family member and lives in the household with the child that attends our school, please notify us. So we're now going to go through each one of these documents briefly, and you will have the option to go through and look at these on your own as well. So the first one is our family assurances and our back to school guide. The back to school guide just gives you some information on how to practice social distancing, wearing masks, and proper hand washing. On the family assurance side, this is a document that we will give to all families that are allowing their children to come in the building to remind you of what we expect and to remind you of what to look for when it comes to COVID symptoms, and that information will be communicated. You can see that you'll have to fill it out and sign it and return it to us if your child is coming into the building. The other documents are the 11 most frequently asked questions. This will also provide you a lot of information to what does it mean to quarantine, to what is involved in contact investigation, and what should I tell my employer. So lots of different questions that are being asked, and we've provided those answers on this document. The other one is our COVID cleaning and sanitizing plan as a district, as well as what happens when we have to clean and there's a positive case. So there are 2 different things here for you to review to see how we will be cleaning the building while your students are in and out of the building and from day to day. The other resource provided to you is that once we are notified of a positive case, whether that be a household member, a student, or a staff member, this is the process that we will take in order to keep everyone safe. The definition for direct or primary contact is listed on most of these resources, if not all. And it is important to know that if you have come in direct contact with someone that has tested positive, this is what that means. That you came in contact with a positive person and you were less than 6 feet from that person for more than 15 minutes or more. if you have a mask on or not a mask, at this point, you could have a mask on for those 15 minutes, but you are still now a direct contact. So this is the flow chart of that, what that looks like. I can tell you that the high school and Second Street is working hand in hand to make sure that we're communicating if there's an impact across buildings. And we are making sure that we work through that because the health and safety of our staff and students is of utmost importance. And the other guidance on here is the difference between isolation and quarantine. We also have some information for direct primary contact. So you have been identified as someone who has come in direct contact with someone that has tested positive. What does that mean? And this provides you some guidance on that. We also have procedures for a suspected COVID-19 at school, and this provides you what that flow chart looks like as well. And the last slide for today is just to reiterate what Monday, September 28th looks like for our Second Street students. Please remember that preschool is already operating and functioning, and they are communicating with you. So on Monday, September 28th, all students will be virtual unless you have been contacted to come into the building. We have a targeted group of students coming into the building as well as other small groups that have been coming into the building, and they will continue to do so. So Monday, you will remain 100% virtual unless you've been contacted to come in on Monday. And this is going to be very similar to what you've experienced thus far. This will be the same for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week and anytime we are in orange. On Wednesday will be the time where we experience a change. And this is when you will come into the building if you've chosen a small group option, and your child will be in the building from 9 to 11 or 1 to 3, and that will be communicated with you by your child's teacher. If you have not heard, please reach out to your child's teacher to make sure you know when your child is supposed to be here. Wednesdays, for those children who have opted out of in-person and are still virtual, will also have a virtual group time as well, and that time will be communicated from your teacher. Please remember, on Wednesdays, your child is only meeting with their teacher during those designated group times. So I wanted to end with this slide to just a reminder of what Monday brings and what Monday looks like. We are only having small groups in person for all students that have chosen that option on Wednesdays. We are going to start small and work our way up, and hopefully we will be phased in to our yellow and green plan in the next few weeks. But I hope this was very helpful. I'm going to put this information out on all of our platforms so you have access to the slideshow and the documents. And if you have any questions, of course, please feel free to reach out and we will get back with you. Thank you. Happy Friday, and I hope you'll have a wonderful weekend.